It's more than just steel and gears. It pulls you in and doesn't let go.
Today we have an epic announcement from one of our favorite posters, everybody's favorite poster, known for his amazing stories about life in Hollywood, Rambo Van Halen in the flesh with his face.
Isaac, thanks for having me. It's good to be here, buddy. Glad we're doing this.
So why did you decide to do this? Why did you decide to show yourself after all these years?
People don't take me seriously. And my publicist said that, I need to get out there and show my authenticity, and really show who I really am in order to be taken seriously. So that's why I'm doing this. So thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for having me on.
Living your truth? Are you living your truth right now?
Like, this is me, guys. This is me.
Yes, this is the real you. I can tell. You're naked, naked for the world to see.
From the waist down. Yeah, from the waist down. Definitely.
Okay, so the new book, you've got a new book. By the way, listeners, if my sound is insane, somebody tell me, because we're fucking around with it. But tell us about this book. What is it called? We'll look at it in a second. But what is it called? What does it contain?
This is called Hollywood Samizdat, Notes from Below the Line, and it's really about my journey through Hollywood. I started writing a book about Hollywood, and it became a book about me. And since I've been in the business for almost 25 years now, it's sort of impossible to separate myself from the industry. And it's a weird place. I didn't realize how weird it was until I left Los Angeles and tried to integrate with the normal world. I don't live in LA anymore, but I'm still working in the industry. And you realize that there's these stories that film workers tell each other that, one, they aren't for public consumption, right? These are not, you're not supposed to tell the world about these things. But there's also this impossibility of telling these stories because nobody gets the context, because Hollywood is such a weird place. The film industry is so strange and so different that nobody has a point of reference. And what this book is sort of this effort, it was an effort to tell these stories to myself, to just make sense of it all. Because it's been a wild ride. And,
so who are these people on the cover? Who are, I can't, it's hard to like zoom in here, but what are these characters?
I have no idea. I love the cover though. I mean, I think it's just sort of the cast of the weirdos you see if you're walking around downtown LA.
Yeah. Okay.
As I used to do blitzed on opiates quite often. Go for a lot of opiate walks back in the day.
Opiate walks. What's an opiate walk?
And that's when you take some pills and you go for a walk. It's a lot of fun.
What happens at the end? Is there a story of a opiate walk?
Yeah, rehab. That's that's what happens.
One of my favorite people had a great thing that he said, where it's like, how does homelessness happen? Homelessness happens when you just never go home from the party.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like you go to a party one day and you just never go home. And I think that's like literally how it happens. It's like you start doing crack one day, you're like, all right, I'm on day 5 of a bender. And then you're like, you know what? I'm just going to not go home. And then next thing you know, it's 3 years later and you never went
living
home.
in Vegas on the street and you wonder what happened.
Yeah, pretty much it.
How did you get to Vegas again?
Yeah.
You come out of the blackout in the middle of taking a hit off the crack pipe at some
and you're like,
coast. You're like,
I've been
how did I get to Philadelphia?
Yeah, it's like, do you ever
It
see
was in San
Showgirls?
Jose. What's that?
You ever see Showgirls?
Yes. Well, you know
Oh,
what? That's the only movie I've ever walked out of. Not
really?
because I was
Well, I don't blame
offended, because I just thought it was a bad movie, and I was just bored. So I
Well, I
left.
mean, it's horribly bad, but there is the beginning and ending is great because it's like like that's like her life. Like she's clearly showing up at this city, and then it's like it's all gonna just repeat forever of her showing up in the
Right.
city, being basically a whore for 6 months, and then moving to the next city, and like that's her life.
So which I'm vaguely remembering that she like gets off the bus somewhere. Is that what happens?
She's hitchhiking, and it's
Okay,
like the
there you go.
same guy picks her up in the beginning and the end, and it's like she stops in Vegas and then she's going to LA. It's like it's like the next place is LA after Vegas. Okay,
The whole
so yeah,
series.
sorry.
They could have done 20 of these.
I know they really should have
City
Verhoeven.
to city. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay, so you were the reason it's called Below the Line. We can talk about your job, right? Can we say like what you did?
Yeah, I mean,
exactly?
I don't talk about what I do now. I just say I
Okay.
do specialized crew work, but I used to be sort of mid-level management. I was a line producer for many years. No, I was never anybody. I was never even close to being anybody, but I was around people who were somebody, and I worked for them. But I was very much in the middle, and it was a good job. I liked it, and it's funny. I mean, I didn't think I had any status at the time, but other people did. The people below me did, which was interesting. That's kind of been fun to ponder that. Young actresses who are trying to break in will go really try to attach themselves to a mid-level guy because that's their way in. And there's a lot of that going on. But it's basically you're basically a project manager. It's a fancy name for project management. That's what I did.
Yeah, so tell us what exactly a line producer is, because it's one of those roles in Hollywood that I think people don't understand what that is. So what is a line producer?
Basically you're in charge of making sure that the show is on time and on budget, and you're putting out excellent creative quality, right? So there's that whole like creative triangle they show you in the project management books that something's got to be good, fast, and cheap, and you're going to make sure that you can get all three done at the same time, which is kind of an impossibility. But you're working really close with the directing team, with the AD team, and you're hiring most of the crew. You're cutting deals with most of the vendors, and it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. You're kind of in charge of everything.
Yeah, you're kind of the guy like on set, right? Like you're kind of the guy who's like you're the guy on the ground actually telling people what to do. Like you're saying, go here, you go here. You're doing the budget.
I'm doing the budget stuff. I mean, if you do your job correctly and everything goes smoothly, the job's kind of over by the time you get to the shoot. Then you're just there to babysit. All that work, basically you build this crazy machine to build a one-off product that kicks out this one-off thing because every film is unique, and then you dismantle it at the end. Then you have to wrap it up. You have to make sure everybody gets paid, and everything's legal stuff is buttoned up. It's about half of what I did was making sure we didn't get sued. That was a huge part of the job.
Yeah, like a lot of insurance.
A
like
lot of insurance,
union shit.
Oh god, the union shit.
Yeah.
And when I decided to leave, I actually I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm going to join a union. So that's what I do now. I'm a union guy, which is amazing.
You're a union man.
I'm a union man. No, I work in a small market outside of Los Angeles, and that's been fun too. Unfortunately, I think it's all going away, and I don't think my job is going to exist in a year.
Really?
So yes, looking back on writing this, I mean, the writing was on the wall a year ago when I was writing this. But there was some hope that the business was going to pull out of this tailspin, and a lot of it was self-inflicted with not marketing movies to all Americans. I think it was a huge mistake. COVID was a big hit. The last writer and SAG strike was a big hit. But I thought it would bounce back a year ago. But now with AI, I'm not sure. And it's not going to go away, but it's the business I knew is dying. And I don't know what's going to replace it. There's always going to be entertainment. People are always going to want to be entertained. But how that happens and the people that do it, I don't think it's going to be the same. So this book was almost like, looking back, it's like, wow, I was writing a goodbye letter that I didn't know I was writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us why, though. This is the part that I can never get a really straight answer on from anybody, which is why? Why is Hollywood dying? Like, what is actually happening that is making this occur?
I'm so far from the inside now, I might not have the best perspective, but this is what I see happening. It's a question of money, because you're going to be able to create content with AI that is so incredibly cheap compared to how it's done now. So right now, if you want to make a Marvel movie, and by the way, never believe the studio numbers that they release on what a movie costs. It's always bullshit.
Is it more or less?
Let's say you're spending $200 million. It's usually less, and there's a lot of shady accounting. So the real money for the crew, and we'll talk, below the line people like me, they didn't get a residual, right? You don't get a royalty. You don't get a piece of the action. The above the line people do. Those are the writers, the actors, the directors, some producers, the executive producers. They get a percentage of the profits, right? That's where the real money is. So there's a whole industry in Hollywood to artificially inflate the production costs so they don't have to pay out as much residuals if the film's profitable. For example, say it's a Warner Brothers film and they're shooting at the Warner Brothers lot. So what you do when you make a movie is you create like an LLC, right, for the film. So it would be Isaac's Movie LLC. That LLC then rents out everything from the parent company. So that they are renting the stages, they are renting the trucks, they're renting the lights, they're renting all the stuff. But they're doing it sort of at the rack rate, not the rate that, if you've owned this stage for over 100 years, I mean, the place is pretty much paid for, right? Your overhead is not that high, but they're paying, the production is on paper anyway, paying big bucks for this stuff. So was it really a $200 million film? It's really hard to say. So there's a whole industry to screw people out of the residuals, and there's a whole counter industry of lawyers and accountants that try to claw back the residuals. So don't believe the numbers. When you see the numbers released, it's bullshit. And then sometimes in indie film world, they'll make it sound cheaper because that's more impressive to the indie film fans. Like, oh, they only did it for $5 million, because people think that's important for some reason. But where are we going?
We're trying to figure out why Hollywood is dying. It's like this is like one of these questions you ask, and there's never, the rubber never meets the road. I never hear why.
What's happening is that in the very near future you'll be able to create that $200 million movie for $50 million, and then it's going to be $25 million, and it might be $10 million, and it might be $5 million. Because all these things are going away, like extras are going away. There aren't going to be extras anymore. They're all going to be AI. Visual effects. Technicolor, went under earlier this year because, they needed capital and nobody would give it to them.
Technicolor went out. It's gone.
Well, and not just gone, but they had made a big move into the visual effects world, right? So they bought MPC, they bought the Mill, and I was told, the people at MPC were just told, like at 3:00 in the afternoon, "We're done, guys. It's over. Go home." And people started trashing the office.
Dude, I remember bringing cuts to Technicolor.
There you go.
When my first job in Hollywood, when I was really young. And
and I'm sure something called Technicolor will survive, but they're basically they were done. They couldn't get the capital, and that was that. So many thousands of jobs were lost right there, and it's just shrinking, right? I think pretty soon, I think maybe within a year, you're going to be able to do a movie with half the crew, and it's going to half again. One big question I think is unanswered is if AI actors can act as well as real actors. And I think that's an open question. I'd like to think that AI could never give the performance of a real actor. But I'm not sure. I'm not willing to bet on that. and you know, another thing is we're losing the farm team, which is the commercial world in kids TV. So basically what's happening is AI is eating the business from the bottom up, right? It's taking all the low budget stuff. And if you know, I go on YouTube, I see commercials, things that I used to make, and that's a big part of my income these days, and has been for many years, is creating advertising content. And it's a lot of it's going AI. And I haven't seen this one, but I was told that there's an Oprah diet pill commercial that's AI Oprah. So, you know, which makes sense because celebrities hate doing stuff like that. So yeah, of course you would agree to just let there be an AI Oprah. It's probably better looking than real Oprah.
But that's not the reason.
That's
not the reason. The reason is not AI. That's not why Hollywood is dying.
What's the
right?
reason?
I mean, is it? Is the whole reason AI? Because it's not even implemented that hard.
I think if not for this AI future that's going to come very quickly, I think it could snap back. But people are hesitant to make investments.
But snap back from where? That this is because everybody's talking about there's no jobs, it's all dead, it's over. But that's even before AI has really come in, because actually did you see the studio, the Seth Rogen show? Okay, so you got to see it.
I feel like I would be like I think it'd be too
well, yeah, it would be very painful for you, definitely. But it's actually good. It's actually funny and good. And so the whole last episode of the season is. There's a great episode where they're tangling with race, and it shows the ridiculousness of them trying to staff or cast it's the Kool-Aid movie. And so they have to be afraid not to have it be all black people, but then they want it to be all black people, and then it's the whole breakdown of like them trying to figure out who should be in it. And it's really good. It's like really funny and like based. It's like actually shows how stupid it is. And then they figure it out. They get the race down. They get Ice Cube to do it. And then Seth Rogen gets on the stage. He's the like snively studio executive. And he gets on stage and goes, "Hey, here's Kool-Aid." And a black woman raises her hand and goes, "We heard you used AI artists for this." And he gets booed, and everybody like throws stuff on the stage at him because it's like that's the new woke, like the new woke is being anti-AI. And that's true, dude. I have friends in commercials who make cool AI shit. It's like a problem. It's like oh, if you use AI, it's like we need to be worried about the optics, which is crazy to me. But
a lot of people's job. One thing I don't think people realize a lot of things people don't realize about the industry. It takes a lot of people to make a movie, right? I mean, you're looking at hundreds to thousands of people putting in a lot of labor, and a lot of them are very skilled and they're making a lot of money. So, I mean, if you're a typical grip, you're maybe making $250, $300 a year, and you're only working that much a year.
Damn, is that really what a grip can make? $250? Fuck.
Yeah, with that because the overtime's crazy. Dude. Like the overtime's nuts.
You can see why those people do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're working on big budget shows and it's a top, there's different tiers of salary depending on the budget. But yeah, if you're working on big shows, yeah, you're doing great. I mean, if you're a gaff or a key grip and you've got equipment for rent, I mean, you could be clearing 7 figures. So I mean, these are good jobs, and there's a lot of them out there, and those jobs are going to go away, and people, including mine, right? Which, obviously I'm not happy about that. But I've also taken the attitude that, okay, it's just time to do something else, and I'm ready. So I'm fine. Don't worry about Rambo, kids. Rambo's going to be fine. But a lot of people.
What's Rambo going to do?
I'm a professional writer.
Yes. Wow.
I'm a best.
We all know how lucrative that is.
The book's called Hollywood Samizdat, Notes for the Line. I thought I'd plug it on your show.
This will be enough to keep you afloat for a long time. Don't worry. You'll be.
And some things aren't going away. And I love doing documentaries. I've always loved that. Yeah, that's not going to go away. And that's the direction I'm moving in right now. And I think every time things get more fake, there's always a countercurrent, right? And so I think there's going to be value placed in authenticity, which is why I'm dressed like this today. To be authentic.
It's working.
No, but I think there's going to be a premium placed on in-person interactions, and I think there's going to be a premium placed on any kind of authentic kind of content, which is the kind of content I like to make. I mean, I really love making that stuff. So that's sort of the direction I'm moving in, with more photography, documentary, and then writing on the side.
Okay. Well, so let's hear about the writing. You came to fame on my feed because you started posting these great, like, semi-analytical. You've been on here before, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, we did this about a year ago. I think we were on about a year. In fact, the day I was on, right before I got on with you, that's when I had the first call of Passage Press about them.
Yeah.
The book, actually. Then it came on.
Yes. Well, and like many people, you blocked me in the beginning, and then you came around. But I
came around. I saw
half
the
the
light.
motherfuckers on Twitter have Isaac derangement syndrome. I don't know how it happens, but they get very upset.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like me either. I don't get it. I'm a
I agree.
guy. Look at this.
So anyway, you had these great stories about. They were kind of like allegorical. Not that's totally the wrong word, because allegorical would mean they were metaphorical. They were sort of like almost like fables. It's like they had like a point. Like they were kind of like little mini tweet fables about your experiences in the world of entertainment. And immediately what I could tell from reading your stuff that was very unique and very different from everybody else was that you knew what you were fucking talking about. Like you'd actually lived the experience. You weren't just bloviating.
Right.
You actually had like been there. So, and then, you kept going and still going, and, you have these great little nuggets that are sort of like usually about a topic of the day, but they are rooted in actual experience, which is like something you and I share in common. So, okay, so walk us through this book. Is it just anecdote after anecdote? What does it begin with? Do you kind of tee it up, or yeah?
Yeah, no, it starts with an incident that happened when I was, where I was living outside of Los Angeles at the time, but I flew back for many years to produce. I was spending 2 to 3 weeks a month down in LA, and I was having dinner by myself, and I kind of have this rule that I don't talk about what I do in public because things get weird, because there's so many people who work in the industry and they just like to hassle you. So I don't like to say I'm a producer, but I was a couple beers deep with the sushi chef. I was buying his guys around. This was at Hama Sushi in Venice on the Circle, if you know it, right? I don't know.
I'd say anyway. I know Venice pretty well, but I'm thinking of Hama Sushi. Where's Hama Sushi? It's on the Circle, on Windward Circle. Okay, I know Hama. I know Hama. Yeah, I know exactly what it is. Yeah.
So I'm just having dinner there. I'm bullshitting with the chefs. And there's this really bad date happening next to me. There's this really fucking smoking hot chick on this date with this super nerdy guy who's like trying to explain Star Wars to her, and like the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. And then he gets into like video game stuff, and she's just like so bored. I mean, this could be a meme, right? This chick is just so bored. And then I'm ignoring them, but the chef asked me, "Yeah, you live around here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I used to, but I moved to the mountains." He's like, I come back for work. He's like, "Oh, what do you do for work?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a line producer." And I can just feel this chick change. Like she and then suddenly she leans into me.
Oh, God.
Like, "Oh, that looks yummy. That looks good. Can I try your sashimi?" And
she's literally touching. She's literally just putting her hands. My germs.
I gave her a piece, and then she's like, doing like the touching me and giggling thing, which just like when girls do that, dude, it's like, it's over.
Yeah.
You can't. It's just over at that point. It's like I'm already sprung. And then she's like, puts her hand on my thigh, incredible. And then she's like touching my dick, and I'm like trying to get her back on track with her date because I don't want to humiliate this guy. Also, she was coming on so hard; it was kind of a turnoff. And
this is just because you drop line producer, just dropping line producer,
just dropped it. And and again, like I was a nobody in the business. I was a fucking nobody. But to some chick who just rolled into town from the Midwest, and all her life people have told her she's really pretty and needs to be an actress in Hollywood.
Dude, it's so it really does happen, man. It really. When I was a production assistant on a mainstream TV show, I had a unbelievably hot girl just totally
Yeah,
throw
totally.
herself at me. And I was a fucking production assistant. I was like a slave. And I was like, what is going on? This is insane. Yeah, it really does happen. And this is why all this Me Too shit is such bullshit, because you don't realize, like, you think you and I, as like these lower level people, imagine being fucking Harvey Weinstein. He's getting that 1,000 times a day. You know, like he's getting hit on constantly.
And that's what it turns into, is sort of a meditation about, because it always puzzled me, like, why? Because I'm, at the time, I was a dad with young kids, and I just, had this like dorky dad persona, and I'm telling her about my kids back home, back on track with them, this guy's, he's a good-looking guy, like, go talk to this guy. But she didn't, and and what is that? What drives someone to do that? And there's this, movie fame and TV fame. It's a different kind of fame than ever existed before, because unlike, say, a stage performer, you can't go backstage and meet them, right? They're on this big screen and they're literally larger than life. And my thesis is that movie stars and media stars, they're like some sort of god, right? There's some sort of god that we, that people literally worship, right? This is idolatry, is what they're doing. I know better because I know these people and I worked around these people, and I realized that there's really nothing special about most of them except they're good at acting. Right. That's everybody's special skill.
Or they have like a certain on-screen charisma that it's like it works for some reason. Yeah.
They do, and some people are
exactly.
Right?
Some people just look good. Yeah,
you've been in a casting session. You've seen this. There's this phenomenon for people who don't know. In a casting session, we always have a video camera rolling because some people just look really good on camera.
It's really true.
And most people look the same as they look, but there's some. You'll have this actor or actress, and you'll look at the monitor, and you'll look at her, and back of the monitor, and it's like you're not seeing.
Yeah.
These are
the camera does such odd things. It really does.
It does.
Yeah, it
very
really does
odd
do
things.
Weird things.
And a lot of celebrities have.
They're short, especially the guys. They have big heads. They really have big heads, and they're
big
kind of
heads,
weird.
Short bodies.
Yeah, it's very true.
But they photograph better. Michael Cera? I forget the guy's name. But you see him in real life. He's fucking weird, dude.
Well, it's like women. It's models. If you're ever around actual models, they're actually not super hot because they're huge. Like the female models are like giant.
Yeah, they're usually tall.
And it's like you're kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like, but they look fucking great on the camera because it's just everything goes perfectly. But yeah, it's kind of the same for guys, definitely.
So it's this weird, so this fame is this strange thing where there's these, special people who really aren't that special, aside from they photograph well, they can act well, but, you get them off camera one-on-one, you're talking to them, they really don't have anything interesting to say, unless they're talking, if they're talking about acting or filmmaking, it's fascinating. But aside from that, there's really nothing there. Just like there's not, I'm just a normal dude, right? They're not that different. So it's a strange thing that and people want that. They want to be gods, and they think they can attain that. And what gets even weirder is the people who could never be that, who know that, but they want to be close to it.
That's the weirder thing to me. Somehow. It's the people who just want to be close.
The star.
One of my early jobs,
right?
I worked for very famous people, so like extreme, like top, ultra A-list. And one of my jobs was to open the mail.
Sure.
And so every day, we would receive boxes and boxes and boxes of shit that were sent to these very, very famous people. And it was all kinds of letters and like, check out my weird collection of candles. Like it was like these people really are gods. They really are gods. They're demigods. And,
they really are.
And your normal everyday person who doesn't have actual God, now they see this idol and they like worship them and they decide I'm going to send them an offering. And they send them this like offering because they think if I send an offering to my God, I will be blessed somehow. It really is fucking terrifying.
Or I mean, this happens to me on Twitter. Like people, in the replies, or they even mutuals will DM me, "Hey, if you ever run into so and so, tell them that Like,
yeah,
as if
it's
I'm
like,
gonna
well,
talk
oh
to
yeah,
these people,
sure.
you
Let me
know?
tell them about your thing. Yeah, for sure. Ugh,
Yeah,
it's so
let me,
weird,
or
man.
how it
It's
touched
so
you.
fucking
You know?
weird. It's so like gross. Well, so one of my favorite stories that you told, and I always remember this, is about a famous actor, and I hope this is in the book. I don't know if it is, but using oxygen.
Yeah.
Can you tell
Oh,
that?
That's not in
Can
the
you tell
book,
that story,
but
or
yeah, I'll
tell
tell
a
that
good one
one.
from the book? I don't know.
It's
Tell
not-
whatever.
No. I'll tell you that one. No, it was this guy, had some serious substance abuse issues.
Famous
Right?
actor,
So
right?
what
Famous.
he
We're
would
not gonna say
do,
who, but famous actor. Yeah.
very famous, very famous. You've seen his movies. I know you've seen his movies. He would drink himself into a stupor, so he could barely, handle bottles of whatever going down. And then when it was time to do his take, and there's a lot of downtime on film sets. A lot of people don't realize that too. It's a very slow process because when we're changing lighting,
It's
and
a
whatnot,
very
it takes a
slow.
while, right?
That's
So
why
the
it's
actor-
like, do you have that thing when you're on set where you're like, you love it? Yeah.
I do. No,
Yeah.
I feel at home. I walk in, I'm like, I'm home.
Yeah,
This is
'cause
it.
it's, like,
And I know the
exciting for
pace, and I know the
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah.
It's exciting even though it's slow and the hours are long. I mean, doing 16, 18-hour days, super common.
But it's like you're like it's like
it's-
war. It's,
it's-
like battle. It's like I'm here. I'm doing it. Yeah, yeah.
It's like battle, and I feel like I'm prepping. Like the day before I go into a shoot, that now it's like, I got all my shit lined up. I'm going to make sure, because you got to be buttoned up. You have to be so buttoned up because there's 20, 50, 100 guys wanting my job, right? They all want to do it. Every film nerd fanboy thinks they can do my job, and they want it. And they want to be close to these people, and they, and so if I fuck up, yeah, there's someone else they can get probably that day. And that happens all the time. People get fired, and you just bring somebody else in. Even if you have to fly them to remote location. I mean, I did this as a producer. I'm like, guys fucking up. I make a phone call. How soon can you be on a plane to Oklahoma City? And great, you're landing at 4. Cool. And then 4 o'clock rolls around, and I fire the fucking guy.
And it's like there's replacement talent, like actors
and
replacing actors.
You can replace actors. Actors, it's a little bit tricky if you've already shot them and there's like too much continuity. But like say, hypothetically, like a sound guy who just keeps fucking up, or a camera guy who keeps missing focus. Being a camera assistant is a really hard job, and the guys who do it, they have this like super fine motor skill. All the focusing is done by hand. So when you have an actor walking to his mark, the focus has to be bam. It has to hit his eyeball at the exact same time that he hits his mark, right? It's a really tough thing to do. And the guys who do this at a high level, they're not made. You can't train for this. They're born to do it. I know some guys who are like multi-generation. I know one guy out in New York, he's like 4th generation. His great whoever started in the 1920s, and he just retired, and now his son's doing it because there's something hereditary that gives them the ability to do that kind of timing, and it's an incredible skill. But sometimes you're out in the middle of nowhere. I should say that there's 3 places you can film in Union World, right? There's DJ first area is Los Angeles, 30 mile zone. Second area is the boroughs of New York City, and then there's the rest of the world. That's the third part. So sometimes you're out in
Third area. That's what that's called.
And
okay. I didn't know that.
So it's anything outside of New York and LA. And it could be Antarctica's third area, just like Nebraska third area. So you're out in third area. You might have a local guy who might not be on his game, and you might have to replace him. And you can do it the same day. He's like you have production buy him a ticket, and they rush to the airport and come out and replace the dude.
Wow!
You just roll right into it. So so people are after people will take. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to perform. So you have to do that. So anyway, there's this actor who's like shit drunk while we're setting up. He's just in his trailer getting slammed. And to get ready to get on set, what he would do is huff straight oxygen and do a bunch of blow. And that would get him walking and enough that he could get out and nail it. And he would nail it. Most of the time he would nail it. Sometimes he fucked up. But there was this this one day we're on the stage and this Teamster rolls in and he's got a hand dolly full of oxygen bottles, and he shouts out loud, "Hey, I got the bottles for Bill's trailer. Where do you want to go?" And this producer's like, no, that's a secret. and she's like quiet screaming. So everyone in earshot hears that that's a secret. The oxygen's a secret.
Yeah.
And so she hustles him off. Apparently the oxygen got delivered. But then, everyone who was in earshot, anyone who heard that, we all were taken into the lunchroom and were kind of given a little talk that we're not supposed to talk about the secret
of the oxygen.
bottle.
Well, that seems pretty minor. That seems
ago,
pretty minor as far as these things go. Why does it all? One of my favorite. Do you ever read Norm Macdonald's book? Yeah. So it begins with the scene of him. The first chapter is him interviewing in front of the SNL guy, Lorne Michaels. And he says, the whole book is filled with Norm Macdonald taking morphine. Like, this was his thing. He took these little morphine nodules or something that he did his whole life. This was his drug for some reason. So, or not morphine, maybe, no, it's an opiate. What is the opiate? It's whatever. I think it is morphine. I like
Norco.
Yeah.
If you got Norcos, hook me up, bro.
So he's got these little things that he smokes or he injects. I don't even know what it is. I'm not a big opiate guy, but so he goes and he does this audition for. He's in the hotel doing a pre-audition for Lorne Michaels. And he tries to do some stuff on Lorne Michaels. He's about to go downstairs and do the real audition, but Lorne Michaels likes him, and he's like, "All right, well, I'll come see you first, and we'll see how you go." And he does a couple characters, and Lorne Michaels just gets kind of cold, and he goes "Yeah, man, I don't think this is gonna work, man. I'm really sorry. You can come down and audition, but you can't do characters." And Norm Macdonald goes, "Oh fuck, okay," and he goes, "Okay, I got a character for you." And he goes, "What's it called?" And he goes, "It's called the Pusher." And he pulls the morphine or the whatever hard drugs is out of his pocket, and he pushes it over to Lorne Michaels, and Lorne Michaels goes, "This isn't a character. This is what we call a reoccurring character." and he gives him the job. So it's there's this kind of unspoken why is drugs such a part of it? I mean, I certainly can't say that I'm not a partaker at times, but
drugs are great, man. They make you feel really good. No, it's a permissive environment, and and again, this goes to this is a place where the rules don't apply. I worked at this production company, and there would be a dozen teams working on different shows at any given time, right? A bunch of PAs running around, production managers, open floor plan office, very architectural, and there was a bottle of pills. It was just the random bottle of pills filled with random shit. And if you were having a bad day, somebody would bring you the random bottle of pills. Here, Rambo, have a pill bottle. There was here's some Xanax, here's a Vicodin, here's some Adderall. yeah.
Just throw something in the tank.
And for me, it was I'm into opiates and booze, it was until I can handle my shit anymore. I think it's sober. But I mean, we would start. We would drink at lunch. We would start, we'd be cracking beers or bottles of wine at 3:00 in the office, and it wasn't an issue, it wasn't, and I could expense it all to the job. Nobody, I don't think you, probably in the last decade or so you couldn't do that, but yeah, at the time back in the day, no problem. I mean, and then you hear stories from the 80s and 90s about what that was like, how the production company would take a film canister, a 1,000-foot mag, which is, I don't know, they're pretty big. It's a pretty big can of film, and just pack it with cocaine and ship it out if the crew was on distant location. It was just they were just expected to provide it, so there'd be a weekly shipment coming in, just in the middle of the film.
Wow.
So, it's sort of what happens when there's a lot of money and people are under a lot of pressure, and guess what? Drugs make you feel better.
There is a weird thing with drugs and power. It's I remember the president of France, whatever his name is, they were obviously doing coke recently, And it was like, it's so funny. It's like there's this kind of like, it's like there's this agreement at those levels. They're like, yeah, we get down, you know. But it's like it's funny. It's just funny that like normal people view that and they're like, oh no, that's bad.
I had a buddy who went to when he got out of college, he went to D.C. and he supported himself for 5 years by dealing cocaine to congressmen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now it's gay, sex, and meth. Now,
so
that and this is we should judge our overlords not by their good deeds, but by their vices. You know, like coke and pussy from hot girls and getting fucking hammered. You know, the Greatest Generation, they were just drunk all the time. I mean, they were just hammered 24/7. They were completely wasted. You know, the veteran era of people. And now our overlords do fucking meth and gay sex. It's like that's just so sad. Like we need to replace that. We got to get the meth gay sex people out of there because it's like it's just not good.
Well, I think it's because you can't like hit on
it's like give me a fucking break, man.
Girls,
yeah, like come on.
But you can hit on the guys.
You can hit on the guys, exactly. That's what you can do, and it's like all right. Okay, so give us. Speaking of, I'm going to get another beer. So give us another story. Give us another story. From the book. From the book.
I mean, you know, look, the best stories, you know, when I'm going through all this, and I had a lot of stories that didn't make it. The best ones happened when I was a production assistant. The best ones happen because you're powerless. And for those who don't know, this is an entry-level job. This is how you get in if you don't have an uncle, you don't have, you know, nepotism on your side. You have to start at the bottom, which is, you know, you're kind of a gopher and you sort of do whatever is required. We were shooting in San Francisco and this director requested on a Sunday night that for this dawn shot on the Embarcadero in the morning, we get a golf cart. And, you know, in LA, this is a simple request, right? You just call the golf cart vendor on a Sunday, they pick up the phone, they deliver it, all good. But in San Francisco, people have lives and they go home on Sundays. They don't pick up their phone at 5 o'clock on a Sunday. So we couldn't find this golf cart, but we found there was another production that had been shooting at the beach at Ocean Beach, right at the foot of Golden Gate Park. And they had a bunch of gators, which are like, you know, little off-road carts. It was sort of, you know, now they call them side-by-sides, but these were more, you know, before they got all sporty, these more utility carts. And it was determined that I had to, you know, because in the business, you can't just say to a director, no, you can't have that. It's impossible to get because you would be suspect and probably replaced, if not immediately, by the next job. You'd be out of there by the next week. So you can't say no to these people, even though, you know, a totally reasonable person. It was just a way. I'm like, I'd like a golf cart. So it was determined that I needed to go down to the beach and steal a golf cart and somehow get it across San Francisco to the bay, to the Embarcadero, right by the ferry building. And so I, with the help of a screwdriver and a rock, I cracked the ignition. You're supposed to hide the keys on these things. Like it's industry protocol that you hide the keys in certain places. Like you put it on the tire, you put it in the air filter box. There's a few, you know, in the trunk. If there's a trunk, you put it in the trunk. The key was nowhere to be found. So I had a screwdriver from my truck and I took a rock and I just like 2 or 3 taps and I cracked the ignition. I was able to start.
Whoa! Wait, how do you start it once it's cracked? What do you do?
Once it's cracked, the thing will turn freely and then it just turns over.
Damn, I didn't know. That.
Yeah. So I mean, these are, you know, the skill sets you need. You need to know how to steal a vehicle. And so then I had to drive it across San Francisco in the middle of the night without getting stopped by the cops because this is not a street legal vehicle. And it's not muffled and it's making a lot of noise. And as I'm driving through the Western Addition, just making a racket in this fucking thing, I see all the lights behind me, like of all the houses turning on as I'm waking up.
Dude, that's amazing. This is fucking insane.
It's kind of amazing.
That's really, well, aren't you worried about criminal charges?
I think the statute of limitations is up, and this is 20 years ago. So, Gavin Newsom, come at me, bro.
Bring it, motherfucker.
This is me. This is what I look like. This is Rambo. But I made it. But it was just like white knuckle the whole way with my asshole just clenched.
My god!
Like waiting for the fucking sirens to come on, and here's the thing: if I would have gotten pops, if I would have gotten pulled over, they would have taken me to jail, and the production probably wouldn't have given a shit about me and yelled at me.
Yeah,
for being
you would have
arrested,
been
right?
just like, fuck you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I made it. I made it somehow. I got through fucking Chinatown, got through the financial district. I fucking parked, and I was like, I don't know, 3 in the morning at this point. I went back to the fucking beat, got a cab back to the beat.